Does the caste system truly define human value? Can humanity's worth be divided and sorted like commodities on a shelf? Let's delve into a historical narrative where a young Jewish boy, after spending 4 years in the temple Jagannath, once sat amongst priests and posed a question that challenged the very core of their beliefs. He asked them about their caste system and why they believed not all men were equal in the sight of God. A master of their laws, a staunch believer in the caste system, stood up to explain. According to him, Brahm, their deity, created men to suit his desires. He narrated how the first man, a Brahmin, emerged from the mouth of Parabrahm, white and high above all needs. The second man, a Kshatriya, came from Parabrahm's hand, made to be a king, a ruler, and a warrior. The third man, a Vaisya, was from Parabrahm's inner parts, intended to till the soil and tend to the flocks and herds. Lastly, from Parabrahm's feet came the fourth man, a Sudra, of low estate and destined for servitude. Upon hearing this, the young boy Jesus boldly questioned the fairness of Parabrahm, who he believed had unjustly exalted one man and debased another. He then turned his gaze heavenward and spoke to his Father God, praising him for making all men equal in love, the white, the black, the yellow, and the red, all able to look at God and call him their Father. His words, however, sparked anger among the priests. They rushed upon him, ready to harm him. But Lamas, a priest among them, intervened. He warned them about the potential power of Jesus' God and advised them to wait and see the truth of Jesus' words. For if he was right, they could not stop him, and if he was wrong, his words would naturally come to naught. But the priests, still filled with rage, accused Jesus of disrespecting Parabrahm within their holy place. The law, they argued, was clear. Anyone who reviles the name of Brahm must die. Lamas pleaded for Jesus' life, but the priests drove Jesus out with a scourge of cords. Jesus then found shelter amongst the black and yellow men, the servants and the tillers of the soil. To them he first preached the gospel of equality and the brotherhood of man under the fatherhood of God. The common people heard his teachings with delight, learning to pray to their Father God in heaven. This narrative serves as a reminder of the power of questioning established norms and advocating for equality. It's a testament to the courage of standing up for what one believes in, even when faced with adversity and rejection. It highlights the importance of treating all humanity with equal respect and dignity, regardless of their place in society.
Have you ever pondered what it means to be a true steward of your gifts and talents? There's a captivating tale from the teachings of Jesus that might just shed some light on this. It's known as the parable of the nobleman and his sons, a tale that unveils the possibilities within us all. Picture a nobleman, wealthy beyond measure, father to 4 sons. Desiring them to grow strong and capable, he divided his vast fortune amongst them, encouraging them to make the most of their individual talents. Now the eldest son, brimming with ambition and cunning, perceived himself superior to his siblings. He decided to control the entire estate, making his brothers subservient to him. To the second he handed the title of a puppet king, arming him with a sword to defend the estate. The third brother was assigned to tend the fields and herds, bringing the eldest the best of his produce. The youngest, however, he bound in chains, leaving him with nothing. Years later, the nobleman summoned his sons for a reckoning. Discovering the eldest son's tyranny, he stripped him of his power, imprisoning him until he could atone for his wrongs. The puppet king was dethroned, his sword broken, and he too was incarcerated. The third son, who had not intervened to free his youngest brother, was sent to the desert, stripped of his lands and livestock. The youngest son, found in chains, was freed by the nobleman himself. Once all the sons had paid their debts, they returned to their father. Having learned their lessons, they were once again granted an equal share of the estate, with a stern reminder to respect equity and live in peace. This parable, my friends, is a powerful reminder that our gifts and talents are not for personal gain or to exert power over others. They are to be used wisely for mutual benefit and to uplift those around us. It beckons us to reflect on our own lives. Are we using our talents justly, or are we like the eldest son, using them to dominate and control? Moreover, the story underscores the importance of intervention. Like the third son, have we stood by, silent and passive, while others suffer unjustly? The parable calls us to action, to step in and break the chains of those oppressed. Lastly, the nobleman's actions towards the youngest son remind us that everyone deserves a second chance, a chance to be free, to grow, and to make a difference. And so, like a flower unfolding each day, we must strive to grow and come into our own. We must remember that the earth is ours, the heavens are ours, and it is within our power to set ourselves free. So rise, be conscious of your powers, and live as you would have your brother live. For in the grand scheme of things, we are all children of God, each deserving of freedom, each capable of greatness.
In the bustling cities of Orissa, Jesus spread his teachings. At Katak, by the riverside, his words captivated thousands. One day, as a car of Jagannath, hauled by scores of frenzied men, moved along, Jesus posed a noteworthy observation. He likened the car to a form without a spirit, a body without a soul, a temple without altar fires. He declared it an empty idol of a people lost in the intoxication of worldly matters, for the true God does not reside in the noise of tongues, nor can he be reached through any idol shrine. Instead, God's meeting place with man is in the heart, speaking in a still, small voice, heard only by those who are still. The crowd, intrigued, implored Jesus to teach them about the Holy One who speaks within the heart. Jesus explained that the holy breath and the spirits of the Holy One cannot be seen with mortal eyes. However, man was made in their image, and looking into the face of man is equivalent to looking at the image of God who speaks within. When man honors man, he is honoring God. Actions done for man are actions done for God. Conversely, any harm inflicted upon man, in thought, word, or deed, is a wrong done to God. Jesus encouraged them to serve their kin, strangers, and even foes, to assist the poor, help the weak, do harm to none, and covet not what is not theirs. The people then asked where they should bring gifts and offer sacrifices. Jesus responded that God does not ask for needless waste of plant, grain, dove, or lamb. He emphasized that what is burned on any shrine is thrown away. Taking food from hungry mouths only to be destroyed by fire brings no blessings. Instead, the offering should be made by taking a gift of grain or meat and laying it on the table of the poor. This act will send an incense to heaven, returning blessings to the giver. Jesus urged them to tear down their idols, turn their sacrificial altars into fuel for the flames, and make human hearts their altars, burning sacrifices with the fire of love. Enraptured by his teachings, the people were tempted to worship Jesus as a god. However, Jesus reminded them that he was their brother, showing the way to God, and it is God, the Holy One, they should praise. To summarize, the teachings of Jesus at Katak emphasize seeing God in fellow humans, honoring and serving them as a way to honor and serve God. It stresses the importance of genuine sacrifice, not through the destruction of material goods, but through acts of love and kindness. It's a potent reminder that the true essence of sacrifice lies not in grand gestures, but in everyday acts of love and service to our fellow beings.
What does it truly mean to be pure of heart and free of judgment? This is a question that has been asked and pondered over centuries. In an ancient city called Benares, on the sacred river of the Brahms, a story unfolded that may give us some insight. Jesus, a man renowned for his wisdom, spent many days teaching in Benares. A wealthy local named Ak decided to honor him with a feast, inviting everyone, regardless of their social standing. Among the attendees were thieves, extortioners, and courtesans. Despite the disapproval of his followers, Jesus sat with them, shared food with them, and imparted his teachings to them. His followers were aggrieved. They warned him that his reputation would be tarnished, that people would shun him for consorting with those considered sinners. But Jesus, unperturbed, reminded them that reputation and fame are fleeting illusions. He emphasized that everyone, including the courtesans and thieves, are children of God, working out the same life problems as any other person. He challenged his followers to confess their own guilt, to admit their own desires for wealth, fame, and the lustful thoughts they harbored in their hearts. He proclaimed that the sin lies in the desire, not the act. He declared that a man who covets is a thief and a woman who lusts is a courtesan. When Jesus asked those who considered themselves pure to speak out, not a single voice was heard. He then told them that the vile in heart often hide behind the holy smoke of piety, loathing those they consider lower than them, while secretly indulging in their own sins. He concluded his teaching with a parable of a farmer who ordered his harvesters to burn the stalks of wheat with broken blades. When the time came to measure his grain, he found not a single kernel. Jesus used this parable to convey that if God only saved those who were perfect, who would be saved? His accusers were silenced, and he continued on his path. The story from Benares teaches us that purity of heart is not about appearing faultless, but about acknowledging our own faults and showing compassion to others, regardless of their perceived sins. It reminds us that we are all connected, all children of the same divine source, working out our life problems. It warns us against the dangers of judgment and hypocrisy, and the importance of understanding and empathy. It suggests that instead of focusing on others' faults, we should work on our own imperfections. And it leaves us with the thought-provoking question: if perfection is the criterion for salvation, then who amongst us would be saved?
What if the unity of God and the brotherhood of life were one and the same? A compelling thought, isn't it? A concept that brings together the divine and the mundane in a harmonious dance of existence. This is the story of Jesus' teachings, a narrative that explores this profound idea in a way that is both engaging and enlightening. In the sacred city of Benares, the revered guest of Udraka, Jesus spoke about life, the brotherhood of life. He conveyed with fervor that the universal God is one, yet more than one. All things are God, all things are one. He painted a vivid picture of unity, whereby the sweet breaths of God, all life is bound in one. A unity so profound that even touching a fiber of a living thing sends a thrill from center to the outer bounds of life. He spoke of respect for all forms of life, emphasizing that when you harm a living thing, you harm yourself. He urged his listeners to understand that it is cruelty that throws the world into disarray. He argued that humans, birds, beasts, and even the meanest worm are deities made flesh and hence should not be killed or made to suffer pain. When questioned about the nature of God, Jesus explained that God is everywhere and cannot be confined by walls or boundaries. He emphasized that everyone worships God, the One, but not everyone perceives Him in the same way. He described God as wisdom, will, and love, unfolding as man's ideal, ever-changing with man's evolution. Jesus further explained that different nations perceive and name God differently, but everywhere He is the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown. He criticized the fear-based worship of God, where men dress others in fancy garbs, call them priests, and charge them to restrain the wrath of God with prayers and sacrifices. Instead, Jesus promoted a relationship with God based on unity and love, where man sees God as one with him as Father God. He expressed that everyone is their own priest, and the sacrifice God desires is not of blood, but of life in sacrificial service to all life. His teachings stirred the people. Some were amazed, some were skeptical, and some even called him insane. But among the guests was a tiller of the soil, a generous soul, a seeker after truth. Jesus, ever the teacher, went with him to his abode. In summary, the main teachings of Jesus in this narrative revolve around the unity of God and the brotherhood of life, respect for all life forms, the nature of God, and the personal relationship each one can have with God. It's a call to see God in everything and everyone, and to live a life of love, respect, and service to all life. A compelling narrative indeed that invites us to reflect on our understanding of God and our relationship with life.
Have you ever wondered about the contents of a letter written by Jesus to his mother, Mary? A letter filled with profound emotions and sentiments, offering comfort in a time of grief and providing timeless wisdom. Today, we delve into this remarkable message. The tale unfolds as Jesus stands by the Ganges, engaged in his work, when a caravan from the west approaches. A man brings the somber news of his father's passing and his mother's grief. He is told of Mary's longing to see him, her uncertainty about his survival. On hearing this, Jesus pens a letter filled with solace, wisdom, and love. He begins by addressing Mary, acknowledging her as the noblest of women, and confirming the news of his father's passing. He assures her that all is well, both for his father and for her. He praises his father's honesty and integrity, stating that his earthly duties are nobly done. In the letter, Jesus enlightens his mother about the journey of the soul, assuring her that their Father God is with his father, guarding his steps. He questions the purpose of her tears, stating that grief cannot mend a broken heart, and that the busy soul has no time for grief. Delving deeper into his profound wisdom, Jesus advises Mary to lose herself in the ministry of love, as love conquers grief. He emphasizes that her life is a ministry of love, and that the world is in dire need of it. He encourages her to let go of the past, to rise above earthly concerns, and to dedicate her life to those who live. He assures her that in losing her life in serving others, she will find beauty in the morning sun, the evening dew, the song of birds, the flowers, and the stars of night. He assures her that the problems of this earthly life will soon be solved, and she will enter wider fields of usefulness, solving the greater problems of the soul. He urges her to strive for contentment, promising to return one day with gifts richer than gold or precious stones. Finally, he entrusts her care to John, assuring her of his constant presence, and sends the letter on its way through a merchant going to Jerusalem. And this letter not only offers comfort to Mary in her time of grief, but also presents timeless wisdom for all who read it. It emphasizes the power of love, the importance of service, the transience of earthly problems, and the promise of divine guidance. It serves as a beacon of hope, a testament to enduring faith and an embodiment of divine love. It is a message from a son to his mother, a message from Jesus, filled with profound wisdom and boundless love.